You're just laughing now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Muni Misfits. My name's Chris Larson, head golf professional at Osgood. I've got Greg McCullough, head golf professional at Edgewood Golf Course. And we've got Matt Cook is somewhat here in spirit, I guess. So
Is he
Cookie,
okay?
I don't think so.
We're not really sure, actually, which
he's
is a little
horizontal
scary.
today. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's going on. So, Matt
So
Cook, if you're out there, maybe we should do a very unserious Amber Alert. Silver, actually, it'd be a silver alert for Matt.
Laura,
Where would he? Gotcha, Laura.
that was good. So today we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff on the agenda. And as far as golf is concerned, golf is in the news. Golf is being played everywhere in town. We've got a Discover Tour happening right now. We've got a lot of things happening within the golfing community. Golf is hot. It's fun to be a part of it. Let's kind of just roll into what we got happening at our facilities right now. Edgewood's popping off. What's happening over at Edgewood?
Yeah, we're coming into a very busy time in the next month, probably starting a week from today, all the way through August. August tends to be, as you know, a very busy month.
Mhm.
We're all trying to scramble. Lots of corporate events, some fundraising events. We've got some league tournaments going on. We've got Discover Tour going on and starting to wrap up. We're 1 month away from high school golf starting. So we see way more golf teams trying to find their teams, find their golf bags, find their clubs that they haven't played this summer. So we're excited. Yeah, I mean, our leagues are going very well. We had our men's club midsummer last Tuesday. Rained a little bit. We had a great turnout, but yeah, things are hopping. How about Osgood?
Well, before we get to Osgood,
Yes.
talk to me, because we actually had some folks at our facility practicing for the midsummer. Talk to me about what is the format of that midsummer, because that's a big event.
Yeah, so the format is it's an 18-hole individual event. We separate into 3 divisions. We had 138 players play.
That's awesome.
So we set it up like a league night, A, B, C, D, E player, because we play fivesomes. And the reason we play fivesomes is before we would have 140 players, we'd have 35 groups. It tends to be a hit and wait day.
Mm-hmm.
When we go fivesomes, now we have only 27 groups, 28 groups. So we lose 6 groups. You're playing in fives. It does take a while to play, but when you're playing in fivesomes, it's not a hit and wait.
Sure.
So we have gross and net in each division. And we had a great day. It rained a little bit, but yeah, it's a very, they go from being really casual and fun to, this is a tournament.
Right. And so that A, B, C, D, E, that's completely random, right?
Yes, we
Cool.
just hit the button and it spits it out, thankfully, and we go from there.
And were you saying it's like, how many balls are you taking, or is it a scramble?
No, it's individual. So
straight up.
It's just straight up. And the reason that I have decided to go A, B, C, D, E, because it evens out the team pace of play. Before, we kind of allowed guys to play in their own groups if they wanted, and it usually ends up being a lot of good players playing in a group and a lot of medium players playing in a group, because you're playing with you want
Sure.
to play with your buddies. So this kind of leads to us. At men's club, we separate everybody out anyway, so you get a chance to meet everybody, which is kind of the focus. So that works for that, and the pace of play tends to even out because the A and B players do a really good job of helping out maybe the less experienced players.
Do you guys have any like side games at all with that?
We do have a skins game that we run, and then I actually run a Greg gets beat, hit the green on number 12.
Oh,
so
how were you?
I got trashed, but that's okay. Everybody has a good time.
That's good. So they hit the green, or you hit the
green. So you make a bet.
Yep.
And if you hit the green, you double what you bet.
Nice.
If you miss the green, you get back what you bet and gift certificates.
Okay.
So if you're going to purchase something, anything,
right,
you can't lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I say, although I got beat badly, and that's okay.
That's good. That's good. That's a lot of fun. So, wow, cool. great. You had 180, you said, for that?
138. Yeah, we
138.
maxed it at 145.
Okay.
We had 140 signed up. We had a couple of people that had, obviously, during the day of the event, always things come up. So it was a great event. We had steak dinner when we were done. It's just another great social activity that we do.
Cool. Well, do you have anything else on the horizon? What's coming up?
We have our Chapman Scramble on Sunday. We have Discover Tour at El Zagel on Monday, which we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some corporate events coming up. So we're excited about what's going on.
Well, Osgood, we've got tonight is a big night. We've got, again, the fact that we have this podcast on Friday.
Yes.
I'm always like right in the thick of like planning a couples night. So we do have couples night tonight. It's Jeopardy themed. It started out as trivia. We actually, Laura and I, we kind of went back and forth here on figuring out some of these questions here. Maybe I'll ask you some. The way that this is working tonight, we'll see how it works. But there's going to be every 3 holes. The way Osgood is situated, it works in a 4-leaf clover. We play 9 holes, so it'll actually be every 3 holes you come back to the clubhouse, and then you have to answer a couple of Jeopardy questions. And we've got our best Alex Trebek impersonators out there, and they're going to be asking the teams their questions. They've got 5 seconds to answer in the form of a question, and there's random categories, and then they'll earn funny money. They'll earn their between 100 and 1,000 funny money dollars, and then that will then be added to their score. They're playing kind of like a points format scramble where they make $100 for a par, $200 for a birdie, $300 for an eagle, and that money then gets put together with the money that they earned on the trivia or the Jeopardy portion. Then at the very end, they have Final Jeopardy, where they come in and they can wager all of the money that they have earned up to what they've actually earned, and then down to $0. And if they answer the correctly, then they earn all of that money, and then whoever has the most money at the end of the night ends up winning Jeopardy.
Nice.
So this is the first time we've done this, so we'll see how it works. We're gonna probably put everyone's math skills to the test. Thankfully, it's just they all end in a 0. There's should be easy calculations, should be easy. So, but that's what we got cooking. We got a full field. We got 15 teams. 15 foursomes tonight for couples night, and that kicks off at 5:30. That's a 5:30 shotgun. Hopefully we're done by 8:30 tonight, 9 o'clock. It's a good time though. So we've got a couple more on the horizon there too.
We do have our first couples night a week from today, and we are going to attempt something we haven't done. We just play a 4-person scramble. The golf is pretty easy. But we're going to play a Yahtzee game.
Okay, this sounds great.
We are attempting to figure out how we can play Yahtzee with a 4-person scramble. So I have my better half is highly involved in this, and she's got a little format set up. We'll see how it works.
So you guys have put pen to paper on this, and you've figured.
We have not actually. Okay. We've got it on paper, but we haven't penned it out yet.
This is these couples nights, and when you start thinking of golf as just secondary, I hate to say that.
No,
as on a golf podcast,
1,000%.
But when you think of it, okay, that's just the vehicle that got you here. That's just what we're doing.
Yes.
And then you go, all right, how do we format something that then gets everyone involved, and then almost making that game the main event. I think that's when you get real magic out there.
And not always based on skill.
Right. Can't be about skill.
Right. So, I mean, it's not always, and golf needs to be fun. You do a fabulous job with that. We try to do that.
Whatever.
But I think as you go along, if you get everybody involved, everybody seems to have a good time. And this in golf right now, I mean, we just happen to see it because of social media, but we see way more fun being had in this type of environment, which is good.
Yeah.
We need that.
Well, and as far as things that are coming up the pipeline at Osgood, then after that, I hate to say it, but we're kind of looking down the barrel at some of our closing type activities. We've got um, as far as corporate events, we've got a handful left on the schedule. We got Bulldog Tap on Monday, and then we roll right back into some league play, and after that, we start looking at August. That's amazing, and kids start going back to school. But with that being said, let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about some Discover Junior Golf
Yeah.
Tour. Our assistants, Jack Powers, Christian Stensgaard, and Tom Porton, uh, working their tails off, putting on a really nice product there. Hearing a lot of really good things in the golf shop from parents and kids alike. So, what do we got left on the schedule? I've got looks like Monday at El Zagle.
Monday at El Zagle,
Okay.
yes. U12s, U9s. And so, again, right, we talk about having fun playing golf and how we got into golf, which is maybe a lot different than how a lot of players are getting into golf now. If you want to see the cutest things in the world, I'm not kidding you. If it's like going to a pet store with little puppies in it. You go out watch you go watch these younger players learning how to play. Some have played, some are really good.
Yeah.
And you get parents and other people and grandparents and guardians and we might start charging admission for this because it is you just kind of go, oh, that is so cute. Right, Laura?
Yeah.
They got
Anyway,
their polos buttoned up,
yes.
and they're and
Dressed alike. Some
that
of them are starting to dress alike.
oh
I mean, it's like it is so cool. And again, not the way I grew up playing golf, but this is way funner than the way I grew up playing golf. So
mhm.
we have that on Monday, and then on the 26th, the week from Wednesday, we have an 18-holer at Rose Creek, and then we just have one more after that. The first week of August. So, kudos to everybody who's kind of helped us get through this first year. Tom and Christian and Jack, us three just kind of threw it on their
Right.
desk and ran away. They're doing a really good job. We're getting through it. We're going to be way better next year. And I do want to say that as we go forward with this Discover Tour, there's lots of things down our pipeline with Fargo Parks Junior Golf that's going to happen next year. That's going to just lead this to be better and better every year.
Yeah, so totally stay tuned for that, and even going into the off season,
Yes.
things that we're going to be looking to provide and add upon a really nice slate of tournaments and activities. So, which kind of leads me into go over to fargogolf.net, check out all the 5 public golf courses. Fargogolf.net is where you can book your tee times, and you can check out all of the pertinent activities that relate to the 5 public golf courses here in Fargo. Also, you can check out Muni Misfits. You can certainly subscribe, follow us on YouTube and Spotify if you like the content that you're getting right now. So, with Discover Tour, we've got a lot of kids playing golf. We've got a lot of kids practicing. What are you seeing? What are you personally seeing at the Edgewood practice facilities right now?
Well, we are seeing many more kids out practicing and playing. Obviously, with the high school season coming upon us
Mhm.
fairly quickly, and the kids have an opportunity to play a lot of tournaments, and they are playing a lot of tournaments. But you and I talked a little bit about this before we came on. I'm amazed at what some of everybody what they think about when they're practicing or playing. You know, I didn't have a place to practice, so we just played. So my thought process for people who just sit and practice is like it's like 180.
Right.
I mean, I can't believe how when I watch, if I just sit and watch some players, high school players hit the ball, I'm like, that's incredible. I mean, they're hitting it so good. And then I go and look at scores, and maybe they're not necessarily the scores that I think that they should maybe be having. And we understand that happens on the tours as well, but we need to figure out the playing part of it.
I 100% agree. With Osgood being such a busy practice facility, I see a lot of golf swings just looking out the golf shop window, just right down that tee line. And I'm going to be honest, there are some fantastic players, fantastic swingers of the golf club, right? And I don't necessarily see those translate into scores. And I honestly, I don't necessarily see those people hitting balls translate into what I would say like golfers. Like, and I don't mean by golfers because everyone can be a golfer, but they're not booking rounds. They're playing a lot of driving range time, you know. So I do think that the driving range, and I say driving range and not practice facility, I say driving range because so many times right now when we're out with our junior golfers and even uh, uh, students, they are simply hitting golf balls out into the void, the abyss that is the driving range, right? One of my favorite questions when we're warming up before lessons is, "What's your target? What are you hitting at?"
What? I
Seriously,
have to have a target? I'm just anywhere.
right? How are you hitting it? Hey, how are you hitting it? I'm hitting it okay. Okay, yeah. What's your target? I don't really have one. What? Like how can
Yeah.
you? So one thing we did this year with our junior golf program is that uh, we got them all alignment sticks.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fantastic.
and I've been geeked out over, I mean, the last what would you say? It's been popular in the last 10 years, something like that.
Sure.
I mean, we just always use golf clubs, right? But these
Yeah.
alignment sticks that you can get some fancy dancy alignment sticks at pro shops or online and spend your, $20 to get some sticks. Or you can go to Menards, go to Ace and get them for $3 a stick, right? Um, but they have proven to be some of the most helpful training aids ever. And just by putting some sticks down, whether it be the putting green, the chipping area, the driving range, but just having that mental note that this is what you're lining up for and controlling that variable has proven to be one of the most beneficial things that I think we've done for our junior golf program is like, all right, bring your clubs, make sure you bring your sticks. So that way we know where everyone's lining up
So
to.
golf is different in the fact that you're actually aiming two different things,
Right.
which is hard. So process of lining up. How does Chris Larson line up to hit it at the
What's
target?
what's
Yeah.
my check down?
Yeah.
The whole thing. So the
Yeah.
first thing that I'm doing is I'm always behind the golf ball,
Okay.
which has also been another point with people that hit a lot of range balls is we get that machine gunner mentality,
Yep.
right? And one thing that we tell our golfers is to make sure that, hey, it's not a bad deal to get into a little bit of a rhythm
Mhm.
and keep hitting the center of the face. But if you hit a bad one or you get into a little bit of a rut, you need to step off that thing and come back, recollect, and reassess the situation to make sure that you are in fact lining up how you want to. So the first thing that I always do is I'm behind the golf ball, lining myself up to my target, and then the next thing I do is I tend to set the club. Now, some people like to set the grip first. Um, I tend to set my club down first and then take my grip. I want to make sure that the club face is lined up exactly where I want it to go.
Bingo.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah. So the reason I do it that some people take the grip behind the golf ball
Yeah.
and then they line their club up to that, which is okay. But I think what happens for me, and I'm just getting to a personal experiences here, when I do that, say I'm right eye dominant. So when I do that and I set my grip and then put my club down, I struggle to look down the line from that point and actually find it. So what I'll end up doing is I'll make sure that the club is correct and I'll actually hold the club with my left, look down the line and make sure that, because then I can actually use my, maybe it's just because I'm not flexible that I can't turn over my
Just
shoulder,
wait.
right?
Just wait for 20 years.
But that's the reason I set the club first, and then I make sure I take the grip to that. And then once I have my club face aimed down my line, then I'm aligning my body parallel to that target line. And then I get basically one thought, and that's generally if I'm playing well, it's only target. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. I'm trying to shut everything else off. Uh, and then that's basically it. That's how I set into it.
So that's, in my opinion, we should always set the club face first, because if we set our body first, you're going to aim your body at the target, and then you're going to aim the club, and you're going to be aimed which direction? To the right.
Hmm.
1000%
Yep.
to the right. So then now if you do hit a good shot, you think you hit it to the right, and then you're going to start making your swing motion work to get it to the target. So it is very important to come up with a routine. It doesn't have to take long, but when you're practicing alignment sticks, if you don't have alignment sticks, clubs, but get used to aiming the club face first and get your body in second. And if you are normally a body first, club face second, you're going to get over it and you go, gosh, am I aimed to the left here or what?
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably not if you have your alignment sticks down there to help you out. Then you can start to actually understand functionally what you're maybe doing or not doing and where the ball is going or should be going versus where you're hitting it.
Yeah, I think so many swing faults are created simply off of poor alignment and,
Yes.
and poor setup.
Yes.
Um, how many slicers of the golf ball do we see that are continually making that problem worse and worse and worse by trying to swing further left or aiming further and further left. um, these issues, a lot of times these issues can, if we can control these variables right at the beginning, make sure that that setup is where it needs to be, well, then we can start adjusting from there. But I think a lot of swing faults happen because everyone assumes that their setup is good. It is what they think it is, but it's not.
Right.
Right. So then they end up changing their golf swing, which probably was okay, or maybe it was okay, but it certainly creates a bigger problem once you start adjusting that foundation.
Yeah. So, I mean, we see tendencies of lower body aim to the right because we play beside the ball and because we slice the ball. Upper body, shoulders, and arms aim to the left. So, your path of your golf club is going to start to follow those two lines. It's hard to change, but if you can a little bit, you start to get way better. So, you know, make sure that your upper body matches where your toes are going versus left of where your toes are going. Now, when we go play golf, we understand you got to find the ball. So you're gonna aim where you're gonna aim so you can find it.
Right.
I mean, you're not gonna, just because Greg and Chris say you got to aim more online and you hit 1,000 yards to the right, you're not going to do that. I mean, we'd like to sell you more golf balls, but we'd much rather you wear out the golf ball before you
Right.
lose it. So, we see a lot of shoulders being open, right arm really rigid, really high, really aimed to the left, and then we're going to make our swing based on that. So, once you get yourself lined up correctly, you can actually see where the golf ball is going versus where you think it's going and where you're aimed. Then, when you get to that point, now you got to start to diagnose what is the issue. Generally speaking, the club face is open.
Wide open.
So you have to do whatever you can, however you can do it to start with to get that club face to be shut. I mean, shut it. Don't let it spin open. It's not like you're on a steering wheel here and you're going to make a U-turn with your car. I can't believe how many, and again, it's hard because we play beside it. How many club faces go from fairly square to 55 degrees open? And now, at some point in a motion that lasts less than a half a second, you're going to take that and you're going to wheel that wheel as hard as you can and pull your body as hard as you can to get it square. So get yourself lined up and get that club face shut. I mean, if you can't hit it to the left, that club face is open. I mean,
Agreed.
it's open. So
Got it.
shut it.
Yep, you got to learn how to hit the ball left before we can effectively hit it to the right.
And it is
Curve it to the
it
right.
is a learned
It is.
objective,
Yep.
right? I mean, people think everybody just naturally does it. Chris Larson, Chris, you make a swing for me. Well, that was easy. Well, you've worked extremely hard at it. People who are really good have worked extremely hard at it, and it's a trained, learned deal.
So that being said, because I would say a lot of the lessons that we get, we are totally combating that over the top, open club face.
Yes.
I mean, I would dare to say that is far more than half of the lesson clientele.
Yes.
So do you have a slice buster drill that you like to go to?
I don't necessarily have a slice buster drill, but I do say this a lot in lessons. As you take the club back, here's the club face. There, the ball is there. You're going to hit it at that target, right? I never want to see that club face turn open. I want that face of that club pointed at the ball the whole time. the whole time,
Yeah.
right? So when you take it back, it should look like that. Well, by the time they get it to here, the club face is
Mhm.
already here. Now, part of that is grip. So I mean, we got to get our hands on the club correctly,
Yep.
and our anatomy is built in a way that if you don't get your hands on the clubs correctly, and mostly we get it too far on top and weak, when our anatomy forces that club face to come open. So, you know what? If you go next time you go to the driving range, you hit it, you do whatever you can to hit it to the left. The reason you're coming over to the top of it is because you got to find your golf ball and the club face is open. You're just reacting to that.
Yeah.
So get that club face pointed at the ball the whole time. And when you get back to the ball, right, you get those knuckles face down at the ground. The ball should go where? Should almost hit you in the left foot,
You would hope so. Yeah.
right? But I mean it's a learned deal. And sometimes when you start to do it, how soon do you have to do that? How quickly does it feel like I have to do that? Right?
Yeah.
Sooner,
Yep.
earlier, face shut. And then when you can do, I mean, if you stand up there and hit 30 dead balls dead to the left, then all of a sudden now you can start to make a change in what your motion is. Your slice buster.
Okay, my slice buster actually. Um, the thing that I've been actually using quite a bit lately has been the alignment sticks again. So we'll put an alignment stick down the target line. So that way, there's a couple ways you can do this, but the way I like to do it is actually stick these alignment sticks in the ground. It's kind of hard to narrate this, but stick them in the ground at the same plane level as the shaft of the club, and they're going to be positioned slightly outside the golf ball, and then slightly behind or towards the back foot of the player. So in front of the golf ball, but behind the back foot of the player. So, and then the angle at which that plane is stuck into the ground is making sure that it's at the same playing position as the shaft of the club at address. So what that's forcing that player to do is it's forcing them to swing the club more on the inside. Thing that you're speaking about is the club face, so that's a big part of this. And this drill is mainly a plane drill. It is a plane drill where the difference between a swing plane and the club face, one it's one is the club face, and actually that relates directly to the grip and how your hands are on the grip. And then the plane is how that club routes around your body. So this plane drill forces the player to actually, we say, land the plane, forces them to land the plane on the landing strip, rather than if they go outside, they're going to crash that plane. They're going to hit that alignment stick. And so often, if that alignment stick isn't there and they continue to do that outside in swing path, they'll either slide way across the golf ball and effectively miss the landing strip, or they'll lean on that back foot and they'll crash the plane down into the tee. So we see a lot of broken tees. We see a lot of thin shots, those types of lot of really spinny shots. And the way we combat that is we put that alignment stick in the ground, forcing that player to then swing more from the inside out. Players tend to see that they have to keep their back to the target a little bit longer.
Bingo.
Yeah. So when they keep their back to the target, that forces that club to then be returned on the downswing more to the inside. And when they do that, that swing path, because ultimately I feel like we need to create a swing path that's more. Everyone always hears that inside out, and it's we're trying to create a rounded bottom where it's inside to inside.
Correct.
We're going around our body. And so by limiting the amount of time, limiting amount of area where that player can then go outside in through the golf ball, we're then forcing them to go inside out. And for a lot of people that have hit a lot of slices, it is almost paralyzing when they feel like, oh, that I have to go there. But I will tell you, doing that drill correctly, it's usually in less than 5 shots, we can probably get people hitting a draw. Now, with that also being said, we need to make sure the grip is 100% correct, because if they've got a weak grip and if they've got it's very much in the palm, we're screwed. So you'll hit it to the right regardless, but that'll be more of a spinny right shot, maybe down the line and then spin off to the right. So grip check, and then after that, then we really try and get that plane down at the bottom more inside to inside. So that's what I do that drill a lot. So the way we got on this topic is we were talking about junior golfers, and we're talking about what people should be practicing and how they should be practicing. What as far as junior golf takeaways right now, we were talking about this off air about these kids have great golf swings. There's really a lot of talent there. There's capability of swinging the golf club, but they're not necessarily translating to scores. Like you see some of these scores that kids are shooting, and I was 100% that kid. I know where that comes from. But what are you seeing right now? What should kids be working on to score?
Well, we've talked about this. I mean, we have to learn how to play the game. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, but you have to, I think everybody in general doesn't understand the club face deal at all. They have no idea how to control it. So when you go play golf and you don't know how to control it, that's trouble. And every day is different. So when you go to, when if you're out there working on something, that's great. But when you go out and play and you hit balls beforehand, it may be different than every other day. You have to kind of figure out that day what you have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people do that very often. They kind of go hit balls and they loosen up and they pay attention a little. But if you need to pay attention, that's what you have that day, whether that's a straight or whether that's a right or whether that's left. When you go play, you got to go play. If it's always going to the right, why are you aiming down the target? You're going to make sevens and
It
eights.
seems pretty logical,
Well, I
right?
mean,
But you do get into a little bit of a
yes.
pattern, right? Where
Oh,
you're just
for sure.
this is just
Yes.
what I do. This is
Yes.
until someone actually says that. Why are you
And then,
shakes you? Why are you doing this?
yes. And then, okay, we're not going to be perfect, right? If we get it offline off the tee, let's say we're playing a par 4 or par 5, and we get it offline, what is your path of least resistance? Now, if you're a very elite player, your path of least resistance is going to look different than mine.
Right.
I cannot there unless you hit it, unless you have multiple penalty strokes, you should never make more than a double bogey, ever. My opinion. No penalty strokes, and you're making triples and quads. Something there isn't kind of equating to what's going on. Now, penalty shots are different, right? The easiest way for a player to get better is no penalty shots, no 2 chips, no 3 putts.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, even as a junior player who is decent, your score probably automatically goes down 3 to 6 without doing anything else, no matter how you hit it.
So let's unpack that. The no penalty strokes part,
which is hard.
100% is hard. That is a learned thing.
It
Too.
is for sure.
That's an acquired skill, something that you do not get on the driving range.
No,
that is a playing deal.
Yes,
right. I would also say that those penalty strokes oftentimes are, they're products of bad tee balls.
Yes,
not get because
correct.
more than likely
Correct.
that's where those are coming from. So being able to have a good tee ball, whether that be a driver or whatever, having that capability of looking down the target line and being able to put a ball in play, that is putting a ball in play is a major
Step one.
It is. That's step one.
Yes.
We hear that old adage, drive for show, putt for dough.
I think we're changing that, aren't we?
I think we are.
Yep.
It feels like it
Yes.
because I think they're equal parts.
Yes.
And when we really break down the statistics, putting a ball in play is like crazy important.
Yes.
And we're also finding that distance is very, very much important too. But I think numero uno for being able to score is getting that golf ball in play. And then when you talk about no 2 chips,
No 2 chips,
Yep.
which seems really elementary.
Yeah.
But again, if you're going to really evaluate your game and you want it to go down quickly and you're a junior player or an adult, it doesn't matter. How many 2 chips did you have?
Yeah, and I think a lot
That
of
includes bunkers.
Right. And I think a lot of that comes from poor game management and understanding where your miss needs to be.
Yes.
Because when you get into some really sticky situations where you're and I see this a lot when you hit to the wrong side of the green, it's going to happen, right? But when you short side yourself and you've got very little room to work with, that is a prime case for being very delicate with shots and being very tentative around the greens, being forced to hit certain shots in very tight situations, rather than having an open green complex to be able to roll the ball to and being very easy breezy, having a more of an easy chip. I know for a lot of people, easy chip doesn't. That's a an oxymoron, but to be able to um, have less pressure as it relates to chipping onto the green, and then getting to the two putts or three, eliminating three putts. That's something that we talked about before in the podcast is how should you practice your putting? Your putting should be, we should really be working a lot on lag putting, being able to get those lag putts to a virtual tap in type range. And then also being able to always, always, always make those putts that are very short as well. Right. And that's kind of the key. Very rarely do we see, I mean, I shouldn't say rarely. In I watch my daughter play and those 10 and 15 feet are not a guaranteed two putt, but speed is a very important part of making sure that you don't three putt, right? Speed control is a huge thing.
People do not practice it, and they're not as concise as they need to be. If you're practicing speed control, it's not the 3-foot rule. That's I mean, that happened because of Dave Pells and all the stuff, but that was what was available. You take a penny, put it on the green, and you start putting, and the ball's got to stop on the penny. Now, right? It sounds easier, right? But if you take a putt from 3 feet and try to stop it on a penny, juniors, especially beginning juniors, or you know, do it on a penny, and 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. It is hard. It is really
Yeah, it
hard.
sounds really hard.
It's hard. But then all of a sudden, when you start getting on the green, right, the hole is the penny, and you got to stop it on the penny. Yes, if we're 30 feet away, we get really vanilla 30 feet away. I'm just trying to get it within 5 feet. Well, you know what? Five 5 feet's not given.
No.
5 feet's not 3 feet's not a given to anybody. So be diligent in practicing that distance. If you're a player going into your high school season this fall, if you started today and put a penny on the putting green and went out there and putted for 15 minutes and you try to get it to the penny every time and you did it every day, by the time your season started, you will be amazed at how much better you will be. Not every one of them, but we're not talking every one. Well, we are talking every one of them because every one of them ends up 5 feet away. And everybody thinks they should make a 5-footer. Not even on, not even the most
Right.
elite players in the world make 50% of them. 50% of them. Now think about that. We think we should make all of them. They're making 50%. You have to be more concise.
And what was your stat? That was
Every inch is 2%.
every inch is
Now,
2%. Is that every inch outside of
3 feet and longer.
so every inch, so 3
You
feet,
lose
1 inch.
2%. So
And
you
so
lose 24% every foot outside of 3 feet. That is a ton.
that is.
A ton.
So we gave you a couple really good training aids. Go to Ace or Home Depot. They're not sponsors of the show yet, right?
They can be though.
Yeah, we've got a spot for them. You can go out and get some landscape markers. We call them alignment sticks in golf, right? And then a penny.
A penny. It's in your car or your parents' car
or in your couch cushions
or on the sidewalk or in a golf cart.
So you've got a couple little pieces of gold there for you guys to work on your games. And then as far as scoring is concerned, I think it's just go out and play.
Yeah, and people do not have a clue how far they hit it. It is remarkable. It is
Absolutely.
absolutely remarkable to me. And just because you've heard a 7-iron goes 150 yards, don't believe it. Do not believe it.
So what do you tell those people then? What do you tell them that um, when they're out
How do
playing?
you expect to play well when you have no clue how far the ball goes, how far
Right.
it lands?
So what do you do?
Okay, so here's a game. Next time you play, every time you're short of the pin, you add 2 shots. Add 2 every time. Every time you're long of the pin, you get to subtract 1. I guarantee you people will be 30 to 36 higher. Higher. And again, right? I don't care if the pin's in back. I don't care if you fly it over the green. Got to hit it past the hole. It won't happen.
Really?
It will not happen.
So for somebody that wants to work on yardages,
We have range finders.
yeah,
It's harder to work on yardages.
it is.
We have range finders. But if you find it, again, it's kind of playing and practicing. If you're out there playing a par 4 and you have 125 yards, you better have a golf club that goes 125.
Mm-hmm.
And just because everybody says it's their pitching wedge, do not believe them.
There's a lot of, we live in a day and age where there's a lot of technology right
Launch
now.
monitors are good.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's a lot of apps out there that are actually like free.
Yep.
We used just junior golf yesterday. We do playing lessons, that's also
That's
another
very
thing.
good.
That's been a lot of fun.
Very good.
We do 3 series of the playing lessons, and we use an app. At least I used an app yesterday through the Precision Pro, their rangefinder app, and that little app has been fantastic. It pinpoints exactly where you're at on the course. It actually does slope for you. It does wind. It does all sorts of crazy stuff. Now, is that allowed in tournament play? Absolutely not. But as far as a practice tool and being able to gauge a lot of these things, it actually gives you the ability to put in, like if I was using this for my own play, I would be able to then put in my club selections based off of just what you said,
Yeah.
launch monitor numbers, and then it actually spits out caddy type advice. But as far as junior golf, and then also people that are just learning the game, knowing your yardages, there is so much technology available for people right now to understand how far their clubs go. So, and I'd say that I would totally echo that sentiment, in that knowing how far your knowledge is power, knowing how far your clubs go will make you so so much better.
It is a learned ability that all very good players and all really good players have. Good players don't have it. Really good players do have it. Great players have it and can change it based on what's going on.
So yeah, and then 2 parts. When I was growing up, it was always harped to me that you need to be pin high. Like that's your goal.
Yes.
If you're offline, you're pin high.
Yes.
You're always trying to get pin high, meaning level yardage with the pin.
Yes.
And when I grew up, we were always stepping yardages off. Now I will tell you that with the advent, or the invention of rangefinders, we've gotten away from marking sprinkler heads. We don't see that as much with a lot of new courses. So I think that skill of being able to step off yards, and actually even being able to see the yardage, has been a lost skill. But don't you? I mean,
Oh,
don't you think?
1,000%. How far out am I? How far out are you? I have no idea.
Right.
Well, that's a problem.
That is. So being able to train your eyes, and then also being able to understand 150 markers at each facility, being able to understand that, I mean, every facility in our area should have at the very minimum a
Yes.
100,
Yes.
a 150, a 200-yard marker. And off of those, you should be able to then gauge based on steps how far away you are. And so that was one thing that was always harped to me when I was growing up, was making sure that you're always pin high, right? Because that makes golf a whole heck of a lot.
Add 2 if you're short,
Yeah.
subtract 1 if you're long, and you'll be amazed at how you learn how far you hit it. And again, just because you've been told a 7-iron goes 150 yards, do not believe it.
Okay. Now Now, with the yardage debate here, not necessarily a debate, more or less a lecture at this point. But how do you tell somebody that? I mean, how do you base yardages off of? Say, I have hit my 7-iron 150 yards. How do you tell somebody that they need to take, or why should they take a 6-iron or a 5-iron, um, and they're assuming that they're going to hit it worse than their best? Does that make sense? How I said that?
Again, right? Let's go back to I hit my 7-iron 150 yards. Probably doesn't carry 150. It might end at 150, and you've done it twice. That is not how far you hit that club.
Which is also another important fact is figuring out how far that ball flies and carries, not
Correct.
necessarily the rollout, because there's a lot of things that go into rolling out a golf ball.
Yes.
Right. So know your yardage, people. Know your yardage. Know how far that golf ball goes. Right.
And just like you said, if you added a club for every time, if you hit X club 140, hit X plus 1 for a whole round. See what happens. You'll be amazed.
So, with that being said, please go on YouTube and comment on what maybe one of your favorite slice buster drills.
Yes.
Comment on maybe how you practice for distance, how you practice, and then maybe anything that we've missed here that people are missing on as far as scoring opportunities out there, because we want to see golfers play a whole lot better than what they're currently doing right now when we see them out on the driving range just slugging away at range balls.
And no matter how you swing at it, you can still lower your score. No matter how,
Yes.
even if you don't, again, right? You're a beginner or a little bit past a beginner. No matter how you swing at it, no matter how you hit it, I guarantee you can lower your score just by a few things. Now, I say just by a few things, but you need experience to do that, and you got to play. You got to
Mhm.
play to get that
Absolutely.
experience.
There's tee time still available, by the way, on fargogolf.net. So you can go over there and check out which golf courses have tee times 3 days in advance on fargogolf.net. All 5 public golf courses in the Fargo family. All right. We got do you like that? That was kind of like that was radio DJ voice there. Scottish Open's going on right now.
Yes.
Tommy Hoagie.
Yes.
How's he doing?
Played good today.
Yeah.
Shot, I think 4 under today. He was tied for 12th at one point.
Why did I put down 5? I put
5
down
under. Well, I think he's 5 under total.
Okay.
I think, but he was tied for 12th when he finished today. So that's good. He's in his summer stretch where he really just hasn't played very well this time of year and stretches. So, over the pond playing the Scottish Open to warm up for the is it called? What's it called now?
The Open.
The Open. Sorry.
The Open. Yeah, I catch myself saying the British just to differentiate, but you would absolutely get.
Yes, I understand.
Oh my gosh.
I understand.
It's the Open.
Yes.
Yeah. But the cool part about the Scottish Open, and we can call it the Scottish Open right now, I feel like players get a certain amount of respect, especially the American players, that go over there to play the Scottish prior to playing the Open.
Yes.
One, it's definitely got to be a really, they got to get used to the time zone. They also got to get used to, playing on a little bit different golf. But learning to play links golf that's a different game. That is 100% a different game. It's a different surface, different conditions for sure. And the leaderboard right now is looking really fun. If we could, I'm going to pull this up, but if we could actually take the leaderboard right now and just put that into the Open on the, what is that, the 20th? Yes, July 20th, next week. I would love it. Listen to the front page here. T1, Rory McIlroy. T1, we got Ben On, Tyrell Hatton, Tom Kim, Padraig Harrington, Scotty Scheffler, Højgaard, McIntyre, Burns, Hiller, Homa, Ricky Fowler. Would you not? Oh, and then we got Hoagie at T15 right now. So would you not take that like immediately?
Yeah. And can we get some wind for 4 days? When was the last time we had some really tough weather in the British Open?
Well,
Seems like, I don't probably pay attention to it. It probably has happened, but I mean, these courses need to have some weather to
absolutely.
make them what they are. I mean, it's fine. I think Ben On shot like 9 under yesterday, but it must have been a really nice day. I'm assuming it was
So, and they're playing the Scottish at the Renaissance Club, which is, I would consider that more. I mean,
more American.
it is a links course, 100%. We just looked at the Tom Doak design. It's beautiful, absolutely amazing golf course, but it is. I would contend it's more a modern links style design, and I think it is definitely tough. But I also think that as far as what they're going to be playing at Hoylake, it's going to be a much different test.
So, am I correct in saying the Hoylake is the iron capital of the world? Is that the one Tiger won without a wood,
Yeah, and
without a metal wood?
I heard a rumor that it wasn't that Tiger plotted around the golf course with irons because he thought that was the best way to play it. I heard that Stevie Williams, because Steve Williams was on the bag at the time, said that now this is all rumor. I think I heard this on a No Laying Up podcast, but they said that no, it was on the Broken Tea Society. That's what it was on. I listened to too many podcasts, but they had said that Tiger had the driver yips at the time. He
Okay.
wasn't able to keep the driver on the map. So then Steve said, "You need to hit irons."
So, going back to what we just talked about with how to play the game,
Right.
if you can't hit your driver and play, and you're playing an event, why leave it in the trunk?
Right. And how many drivers did he end up hitting that? Wasn't it something ridiculous, like one or
Not very
two?
many.
It was like three or less,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah,
That's the most elite player on the planet.
right.
Deciding he needs to play the game, play the game.
So, and with that, yeah, you are correct. It's not one of the longest on the open rotation. However, they have done a lot of changes to the golf course now. They've got a whole new 17th that everyone is oohing and ahhing over. It's a par three that looks like it's got a really crazy green complex in there. Harry Colt design, I think, is the I think I've never played it.
Sounds like a warm beer to me.
I've never played it, but as it's one of those very nuanced golf courses that is, unfortunately, from a viewer perspective, it's very flat, and there's
Okay.
not a whole lot of undulation. So it's one of those, again, acquired tastes. I think
Sure.
I don't. I'm going to tell you right now, when I see that Hoylake is on the rotation, Royal Liverpool, I'm not immediately like, oh yes, but I do think that as far as the players are concerned, I think they do really enjoy this golf course. And Rory McIlroy has won there. Tiger Woods has won there. It does have a tendency to identify a really great champion, at least as of recent. So I think that I'm pretty darn excited to see what happens, especially with how the best players in the world are playing right now. It's a fun leaderboard. So
Excellent.
yeah. So if you told me right now that in the final groups we had Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Max Homa, Ricky Fowler, and then we'll also throw in our boy there, Tommy Hoagie. Let's go. Right? Let's go. That'd be so fun. Uh, let's talk about. Do you have anything else to contend on that? On the
No, sir.
You're good. All right. Golf's in the news right now, and I'm not a politician and I am not a lawyer. But there's some seriously weird stuff going on with the sport that we love. Golf is undergoing congressional meetings right now. Um, as far as golf is concerned, going into the future, we might have a significantly different product. I hope we don't, but with all this, the Saudi PIF funds and everything happening right now, if you want to get your golf fix on, You know what I
Are we
mean?
talking like C-SPAN here
Yeah,
or
I mean, you
what?
can go on C-SPAN, CNN, you can go on Golf Channel. Golf is everywhere right now, not always for the best things, but what do you think golf looks like next year? What do you think golf looks like next year?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Not a, I mean, I have no idea, and I don't know if anybody knows actually, which is a little. That's a little scary actually.
I would so did you see Rory's comment? Like, it was like a couple days ago. It was so funny. He said something about the fact that if Rory was forced to play if Live Golf was the only golf product that and he was forced to play that, he would retire
Retire. Yeah.
immediately. Um, and then with that, again, I'm not gonna outline all of the documents because 'cause I'm gonna butcher them as far as the legal stuff, but I did see that, as far as the PIF is concerned, that they're looking for His Excellency is looking for, uh a membership at Augusta National, also Tiger and Rory to captain live teams. There was all sorts of really weird stuff in those documents and the what do they call that? The framework agreement. So there's going to be some really weird stuff I think happening certainly in our off season as they start to try and put together what resembles a PGA Tour in the coming months. I do think this is my forecast. I do think that, and I don't like it. Okay, let me just come right out and say I don't like it, but I do think there is going to be a team element. Will be a will be at the forefront. Maybe not next year, but definitely within 2 years, they are going to really try and force the team element somehow, some way. Um, I just I don't think outside of the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup and the Solheim Cup, where we're actually like competing with countries and there's pride there. I just don't see how I can get behind a group of golfers that call themselves a golf team. I'm not rooting for that. What are you thinking?
I again, right? It goes against the way it's been. So I would I can totally understand that. I'm not so sure I'm on board with it, but I don't know what it's going to look like. And you know, I would hate to see this get messed up because of what's happening, especially the way it happened.
Well, and you're starting to see factions of players right now thinking that they can do their own thing. Talking about Patrick Cantlay.
Usually doesn't work.
Right? I mean,
Usually doesn't work.
no one's going to want to get their hands dirty to the fact that they want to create their own tour and do unless they got crazy Saudi money. But as far as the players are concerned, I think the first step would probably be looking at maybe a new commissioner, um, and then trying to go a different direction. I just think that the way that this was all fumbled, man, I don't want to see the PGA Tour go in a direction that uh, I think it's too good of a product right now. I think the players are too good. I think we're doing a disservice shedding, uh, putting golf in such a poor light right now and basing it solely around so much money. But again, that's professional sports, isn't it?
It is, and it's kind of ruining professional sports, in my
100%.
opinion.
Which is the next thing I want to say, who cares about this? Do you think our golfers that we were just talking about that are grinding on the driving range, trying to get 2 strokes better on their handicap, honestly care what a bunch of millionaires are doing, multi-millionaires are doing? Um,
They want to see their favorite golfer play in a tournament, and if they play well, they win money, and if they don't, they don't. My opinion.
and so gets to my thought is majors matter
Yes.
and venues matter.
Yes.
That I think those two things, along with the players, right? Because you've got players that you're backing, but I think that the majors, that's history, right? That's what gets you put down in the history books. Do we still have books? history books. But that's what writes history. And then as far as venues, that's what creates that connection. That's what creates um, that excitement when you get to go to these major venues. So, do I care what happens at the Travelers? Not really, you know. I care always though about. I care about the players. I do care about the players. I care about the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, the Open, the Masters. I care about all of those. Everything else, I'm not. I'm not really
So, but do
into.
you think to get into those majors, those other tournaments, you need to build to get into the
You
majors?
do.
It's kind of like a playoff system. I mean, every sport has a playoff system, and the regular season matters because if you're not good in the regular season, you don't get to the playoffs, you can't win a championship. In golf, similar. My opinion, they need to figure out how to be similar
So
with similar formats. We're not talking. I believe that they got to have similar formats to be able to take that next step to the quote unquote playoffs. I don't think you should have 1,000 different formats to qualify for the playoffs.
I 100% agree with that. I do think that with the new stuff that's happening right now with the tour, if we can spin a positive light on this, if we can get rid of, Saudi, PIF, all that, whatever your stance is on that, I do think that this will involve a now God, it'd be cool to think that we have a giant global
Yes.
tour
Yes.
where they are playing all over the world. Is
Yes.
that good for the US? I mean, everything is the PGA Tour is concentrated in the US. We've got a couple events that we go up and national opens in Canada and Mexico, and then we're over in the Scottish, and we've got a major championship in the Open and things like that. But as far as it's concerned, the PGA Tour is the tour in the US, right? So now with this new insurgence and this new whatever we're going to call it, hopefully it still has that PGA Tour branding, whether it does, whether it doesn't. It is going to be the focus is going to be global, right? And so you're going to be seeing the best players in the world, maybe teeing it up in Japan, maybe teeing it up in Australia, maybe teeing it up all over the place.
So is that good for the tour?
I would say globally, I would hope yes. Is it good for US viewership?
No,
Probably not.
not. It's terrible, actually.
So that's going to be
And
that's going to be the tough one.
and does that drive the bus?
Well, so you look at a lot of these sponsors, right, that are footing the bill for all of this. RBC, Traveler, blah blah blah. All these major movers in the PGA Tour. What happens in those sponsorships? Are they going to keep throwing in that same amount of money? Do they need to at this point with the new money coming in? I would say that this is going to probably alienate some of those sponsors. They're
And
going to be
has
like, "See ya."
the charitable aspect, is the charitable aspect gone?
Well,
Which is that's in my opinion that's awful.
yeah, I do think that's going to be that's going to be
Because there's
talked
a
about.
lot of there is so much good that gets done because of tour events at places, and it doesn't matter where it's at. I mean, any area that has a tour event, the local charity base is improved tremendously because of it. We don't always hear about it, but it's a fact.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a fact, and it can be as small as anything, library books in a elementary school, anything like that. But because the tour is there and it's charitable, not saying that's going to change. I hope it doesn't change wherever it comes from, but it needs to stay like that. Those 41 events in 41 different places have a big impact on the local community.
yeah. I mean, you look at St. Jude. You
Well, I
look
mean,
at
it's just like the
yeah,
North Dakota Open, right? Village Family Services
yeah.
benefits greatly because
Great point.
we have a local professional event that's run professionally that gets good players. It needs to keep happening. We're we're not keeping our eye on the ball, in my opinion. Our eyes are on something that happens in life for sure, but somebody needs to keep their eye on the ball.
100%, 100% agree. And tell you what, if you have any comments on any of that, love to hear them. You can certainly catch us on YouTube and Spotify, Muni Misfits, and you can give us your opinion on this. We'd love to talk about it a little bit, right?
Yes.
We got heavy on that last year. Wasn't it last year we were talking all about Liv?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, you got anything else to add?
No, sir.
Okay.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, Matt, he's been super quiet today.
Yes, he's always quiet. I think next week he should have to do it by himself.
All by himself.
Yes.
Yep. He just does one.
Engineering, producer. Now that is a ghost. I know there's ghosts in this building. That is a ghost. That's Matt Cook. That was
Signing
Matt.
off.
Yes.
Matt Cook signing off.
That's so good.
That being said, thanks for tuning in to Muni Misfits. I hope you enjoyed the content. Click subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. It has been a day. We will see you next week.